Your fourth part, and I'm not going to stumble into this one, I'm going to take you there quite deliberately, is be ruthless.
Yeah.
That sounds hard. What do you mean by that?
It does. So I think the first three are all about talking to people, understanding what's going on, listen, talent drainers, talk to your stakeholders. Everybody's like, yeah, I get that. I get that. It's like, you cannot be ruthless with these people. How can you not be? We're already on the back foot. We've already cocked up. Everybody knows it's a disaster. And now I'm turning up on bullshit and going, well, I don't care about that. We're not going to do that. I mean, be ruthless in what's achievable, right? Be
Right.
ruthless and talk to the customer and say, we want to get you to launch, or we want to deliver that product feature, or we want to meet that milestone or that budget, right? And then cut, right? Nobody wants to hear this in project turnaround, but bear in mind where you're starting. You're already up a certain creek without a certain paddle. So being ruthless at that point is what helps you survive. You don't need to be ruthless at the start of a project when it's all happy and light, but be ruthless at this point, right? And so what do I do here? One of the most common things is scope, right? That's the sort of
Yep.
most acceptable area. You know, money's difficult, time's often difficult, although time helps. Scope is an area where you can really get everybody into the ruthlessness. And there's a rule of three that applies here. Everything's a rule of three eventually, but there's a rule of three that applies here. Austin Powers in I don't know, The Spy Who Did Something or Other to Me. He does this one, right, where he's got he asks one of the infidels or whatever. He holds a gun to their head and says, who are you working for? And they say, I will never tell you I spit on your dog, you know, sort of thing. And then he asks me, who will you be working for? And he says, your mother is a so-and-so. I hate your father. I will blow up your world. And he goes, who are you working for? The third time. And he goes, I'm working for Mr. Big. And they're like, that was easy. And it's like, people hate being asked something three times. That's the joke there, right? And basically, this is what you do. Do you need that for launch? Yeah. We said it's in the original contract. Yeah, we absolutely need it for launch. Okay. Do you need it for launch though? Why do you need it for launch? What is the outcome that it's going to deliver? Well, it'll make it easier for the operators to do this, and then they'll be right. Okay, good. So do you really need it? Because couldn't we just add another operator on there? So you get that free, and people are like, yeah, okay, I guess I don't need it. No, not for everything. It doesn't work for everything. But that conversation, and again, I'm using the word ruthless like it's a contentious word, right? So I don't mean that. I mean, be focused and challenge absolutely everything. Again, just like the contract, nobody will thank you for delivering all of the scope late or delivering some of the scope or all of the scope but over budget. You need to find that happy medium. And to do that, you need to cut in all sorts of different areas. It's just where you are when you're up that sort of problem.
I noticed you didn't mention the word quality there once, because I mean, that's the other thing that you can pull on and say, well, we'll do it, but it won't be quite as good or something. Presumably you would never offer that up as a route out.
You'd be surprised, but it depends, right? That's the first time I've said it depends, Jeremy. I'm doing quite well. Yeah,
you're doing very well.
We usually say it depends left, right, and center.
Yeah.
If you're working in a startup organization and the thing that you're late on is taking a new feature to market, yeah. Do we know this feature is going to bring the company millions of pounds worth of money, or are we guessing that it might work? In which case, a lower quality of that feature might work. I don't mean poor code. I mean, and this is why quality for me, and we're talking at a pretty high level, but quality for me is covered by scope. Right. Yeah. So scope is potentially, it could be you're only getting 3 features, not 5, or it could be we're going to give you the 5 features, but a couple of them are going to be less feature rich. I think if we're talking about quality of code, quality of architecture, I'm not in that area, right? We've got to do technology properly. It'll come back to bite you in the ass. I imagine you're going to have somebody on the podcast talking about tech debt at some point, right?
Yep.
That's where quality sits as a problem for me. So I'm not talking about that kind of low level quality, but at a scope level, yeah, sure. Why not challenge that?
Yeah. And I love the expression scrappy, not crappy, because sometimes you can just deliver something which is a bit scrappy. It maybe isn't quite as feature rich as you wanted, but it definitely isn't crappy. It's not gonna bomb out and break and destroy things.
And again, I've never been on a podcast without saying the phrase horses for courses, so I'll say it now. If you are an online banking system, or if you're a medical results system inside the NHS or something like that, you got to get it right. It has to be right first time. It has to be quality. I'd rather you were late and over budget, right? As a consumer of those products. If you're Meta, doing an update to Facebook, I mean, who cares?
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
You know,
exactly
it's
that.
just like
Yeah,
my mum will be annoyed that she can't message her friend, right? Sort of thing,
yeah,
for 10 minutes until we do a new release, right? So the
yeah,
thing, it's just in that context. So you've always got to apply the context to the quality, to the scope of delivery. You know, it very much depends on what you're doing. I'm working in some really heavy lifting engineering at the minute in the broadcast industry. You know, it's like, well, can you see the TV channel or can't you see the TV channel? It's kind of binary, right? You
binary.
can't mess
Yeah,
up.
yeah,
Yeah, you can't mess about with that too much. But depending on where you are, you'll have options.
yeah. And actually, people don't care if it suddenly goes from 4K to 1080p. It's like they can still see it and they can still consume. So I know what you mean. So okay, so you've been ruthless. You've worked out scope, and you've got some agreement on everything that will and won't be delivered. The
Yeah.
final piece is plan backwards. What does that mean?
So we've all been in these go no go meetings, right? We're working, we're doing our sprints, whatever. Even if it's a waterfall project, it doesn't matter, right? You know, we're heading forward, and we're getting towards, you know, and it might be going into UAT, or it might be exiting UAT and going into migration or launch or whatever. It doesn't matter. There's these key milestones in a project, and we all go, we'll have a go no go. And we're all sweating and building up and going, oh,
Hmm.
and we all know nobody's going to say go, right? Nobody's going to say go, but we follow the plan and we get to it, and then it's a no go, and then we do a replan,
Hmm.
right? And everybody loves a replan, yeah, sort of thing. And we go, oh, it's a replan, and everybody goes on holiday for the
Always
weekend,
feels
and
like such a win, doesn't it?
a replan. It's just like, I'm just like, it's a disaster. Right,
Yeah,
replanning is not. You know, you've just failed again. Really,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
all, and you're
yeah.
just admitting it up front. And you've probably done it too late because you didn't make it. Right, people hook onto that, particularly large scale projects, programs, particularly failing ones, particularly if you've already had some failures. People get used to being in that failure zone, and so the mindset shifts. Like, we'll launch when it's good. We'll launch when we're ready. We'll launch when it's going to do what we originally said 3 years ago in the contract it would do. That's when we'll launch. Everybody's relaxed. It's
Hmm.
like, it's not my problem if it doesn't launch. It's not, you know. And if you're in a vendor situation, you're just paying the penalties at that point and going, well, we did say we'd give them this, so we've got to, you know, something. And it's just not a great way to look. If you can get the stakeholders, internally or externally, on board with saying, right, we've looked at scope, we've looked at all of that. When do we feasibly believe we could launch? Set that date, tell everybody, and work backwards. Now, every single engineer I've ever worked with, if they're listening into this, is going, yeah, he's wrong. He's wrong. You can't do that. I'm telling you, and for your audience here, try it once, right? In
I've
the
done
right
it many times,
circumstances,
many
try it
times.
once.
Yep,
It's amazing the mindset shift you get, right?
yep.
And I'm always a bit nervous about it, right? Because I don't know everybody on, you know, large scale programs. You sometimes got, you know, 200-300 people working on them, and you're like, well, what if it doesn't work this time? What if their mindsets don't shift? Every time the mindset goes, oh, we're going now, are we? Right, okay,
Yep,
come on in. This is what we need to do. And suddenly they start applying all the be ruthless.
absolutely.
And they start coming back to you and saying, well, in that case, can Fred just get out of the way, and we're going to do this over here? So, and suddenly you're like, yeah, I think this is good. So planning backwards, which is normally a no-go, got a bottom-up planning, get the engineers, get their estimates, product roadmaps, all of that kind of stuff. Planning backwards when you are at the bottom of the barrel can really inspire people to meet a target.
I agree. And the more you can kind of evangelize, I mean, I've been on some projects where we say, right, that's the date. And then almost every other words are, that's the date, that's the date. And you keep mentioning the date. And then, as you say, there's a bit of resistance at the beginning, but then suddenly people go, oh, we have a date. And as you say, then everyone sort of gets behind it and they start making their own decisions. And then the date comes and we're ready and it works.
Yep, exactly. And there won't be all the functionality there that you hope for on day one. And it will be more than the original budget. And it will be later than the original timescale. Those are all the success factors that don't feel like success factors that I was talking about at the start, right? But you will have launched. And I guarantee you, even though you're 5 months late, £1 million over budget, your customer, if they've stuck with you, will come to you and will say, we did it.
Yep.
We got there. It was a bit bumpy, but we got there, and nobody will be getting that contract out the drawer and saying, now let's tote up the penalties you owe us,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.